Goals cannot be achieved without discipline, not sometimes, not eventually, never. If you want real success, not just a feeling, but real progress, discipline is the price. Not passion, not talent, discipline. You can set goals all day, but without the discipline to act daily, you'll keep restarting your life every few months. That's the hard truth most people ignore. They wait to feel ready, they chase motivation, they hope for better timing, and the days just keep slipping by. The people who win don't have more time, they just use it better. They don't wake up every day excited, they wake up committed. Because they understand one thing. Every goal you've written down depends on what you're willing to do when it's not easy. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. This message is not just another reminder. It's your wake-up call to finally stop making excuses and start becoming the person who finishes what they start. Chapter 1. Face the truth about how you waste time. You see, one of the biggest reasons why people don't achieve their goals isn't because they lack talent or opportunity. It's not because they're not smart enough. It's not because the world is unfair. Most of the time, it's simply because they waste too much time. That's the truth people don't want to face. They keep saying they don't have enough hours in the day, but the truth is, they do. They just don't use those hours the right way. If you want to make real progress, you've got to be honest with yourself. Not polite, not soft, not gentle. Honest. You need to look at your day and ask yourself, where does my time really go? Because the clock is fair to everyone. You get the same 24 hours as the most successful people in the world. The difference is in how you use them. Most people don't track it. They don't measure it. They just live from moment to moment, distracted, entertained, bouncing from one thing to the next, wondering why their goals stay out of reach. You say you want to change your life. You say you want to be successful. You want to be strong, focused, respected, in control of your own world. Then you have to be willing to face what's stopping you, and it's not someone else. It's your habits. It's the time you give away for free every day without even thinking. You scroll, you wait, you delay, you overthink. You say you'll do it later. You say you're tired. You tell yourself 5 more minutes. And those 5 minutes turn into 5 hours. And those 5 hours turn into another day gone. You can't build anything valuable when your time leaks everywhere. The path to achieving your goals starts with taking your time seriously. If you don't respect your own time, nobody else will. If you don't make use of it, life will move on without asking. Discipline begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about what you're doing with your hour. It begins the moment you stop pretending that tomorrow will somehow be different without you being different. You want your life to change? Then stop wasting time waiting for change. You want results? Then stop giving your time away to things that don't bring results. You don't need more time. You need more discipline with the time you already have. You wake up in the morning. What's the first thing you do? Do you take control of your day? Or do you give it away to the screen in your hand? Do you set your own pace? Or do you let the world decide how your time will be used? One of the best things you can do is sit down with a pen and paper and track exactly what you do every hour for a few days. You'll be shocked. Not just at how much time goes to waste, but at how many excuses you use to justify it. You'll say you needed a break. You'll say it wasn't a big deal. You'll say it only happened today. But the truth is, it's been happening for years. Your goals don't care about your distraction. They don't move closer because you had a long day. They don't make progress because you were thinking about working hard. The only thing that counts is what you actually do. It's hard to accept that. It's hard to admit that most of the time. We're not as busy as we claim. We're just not focused, we're not locked in, we're not clear, and we don't want to feel the pressure that comes from holding ourselves fully accountable. But real growth only comes when you stop running from the pressure and start owning it. When you say, yes, I've been wasting time, and I'm done with that. Think about how much time you've already lost to things that gave you nothing in return. Think about the hours you can never get back. That should bother you. That should wake something up inside you, because if you keep wasting time, you're not just wasting minutes. You're wasting your potential. Your goals are waiting for a version of you that shows up on time, that shows up with focus, that shows up ready to work even when nobody's watching. Not the version that makes plans and then forgets them. Not the version that keeps hitting the snooze button. Not the version that keeps making excuses about being tired or busy. If you want something real, you have to give something real. And the first thing you give is your time. Start by identifying your distractions. Look at the things that steal your time and ask yourself if they're helping you get where you want to go. Social media, pointless conversations, mindless entertainment, these are not just harmless little breaks. They're roadblocks dressed up as relief. Most people think they're escaping stress, but they're just delaying responsibility. They numb the guilt with distractions instead of fixing the root of it. And the root is simple: lack of discipline. You want to feel proud of yourself? Use your time wisely. You want to build confidence? Be someone who follows through. You want to stand out? Take action when others wait. You want to grow? Then manage the clock like your life depends on it. Because it does. Here's the hard truth. Nobody is going to manage your time for you. Nobody's going to check in every hour and ask if you're working on your goals. Nobody's going to hold your hand and walk you to success. This is on you. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a choice you make over and over again. It's what separates people who talk about goals from people who actually reach them. And the first decision, the most important one, is to stop pretending you're using your time well when you know you're not. You already know the feeling of regret. You already know what it's like to say, I could have done more. You don't need more of that feeling. What you need is the feeling that comes from a day well used. A day where you stayed on track. A day where you kept your promises to yourself. A day where you were fully locked in, not perfect, but disciplined. That kind of day builds something. That kind of day leads to results. That kind of day leads to results. That kind of day moves you closer to who you want to become. 1 hour of real discipline is more powerful than 10 hours of scattered, half-hearted effort. The people who succeed are not superhuman. They just stop wasting time. They stop lying to themselves. They stop hoping for things to change and start doing the things that create change. It doesn't matter where you're starting. It matters that you decide right now to value your time, to use it, to guard it, to protect it from distractions and laziness. Because goals don't just fall into your lap. You earn them. And the way you earn them is by making better decisions with your time every single day. No more drifting. No more talking about someday. No more waiting until it feels right. You take the time you've got, and you use it like it's the only thing you have, because in the end, it is. That's how discipline begins. That's how goals get achieved. And that's how your life starts to change. Chapter 2. Train yourself to do what you avoid daily. Most people know exactly what they need to do. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge. The problem is avoidance. Every day they avoid the things that make them uncomfortable. They put off the hard tasks, the difficult conversations, the uncomfortable truths. And the more they avoid, the more those things grow. Not in size, but in weight. They start to weigh on the mind. They create stress, guilt, and frustration. You wake up already feeling behind, already knowing that there's something you've been pushing away. That feeling doesn't go away with more rest. It doesn't disappear just because you stay busy with easier things. It stays there until you face it, until you decide to stop avoiding it and start doing it. The way to take back your life is simple. You train yourself to do the things you avoid. You don't wait until you feel ready. You don't wait for some perfect day. You do it now. You look that task, that decision, that conversation right in the face, and you take action, even if it's small, even if it's just the first step. The key is doing it anyway. The problem is that most people don't train their minds. They wait for life to train them through pain, through crisis, through pressure. But if you want to live on your own terms, you can't afford to keep avoiding what needs to be done. Discipline is about developing the habit of facing what you naturally resist. It's not about always liking the task. It's about building the muscle that says, I do what needs to be done, no matter how I feel about it. Avoidance is comfort, discipline is growth. You don't grow by doing what's easy, you grow by doing what you've been running from. And the truth is, most of what we avoid isn't actually that difficult. It just feels hard because we've built it up in our minds. The more we delay, the bigger it looks. But when you start doing the thing you avoid, you realize it was never that big to begin with. What was heavy was the mental weight of carrying it every day. You need to train yourself to become the kind of person who moves toward discomfort instead of away from it. That starts by noticing where your resistance shows up. It could be the gym. It could be picking up the phone and making a call. It could be sitting down to work. It could be having a tough talk with someone. Whatever it is, pay attention, because that resistance is a sign. It points directly to where your discipline needs to be built. When you notice the feeling of avoidance, don't argue with it, don't reason with it, don't give it time to grow. Just act, move fast, take the first step. Because the longer you think about it, the more your mind will come up with reasons to delay. That's how the mind works. It tries to protect you from discomfort. But discipline trains the mind to serve your goals, not just your feelings. You can't live a meaningful life while avoiding the things that matter. And the things that matter are often the ones that require courage. It takes courage to start something new. It takes courage to stick with it. It takes courage to do the work when no one is watching. But courage doesn't just show up. It's built through repetition. You face what you avoid once, then you do it again, and each time you become stronger. You stop fearing the hard things because you've trained yourself to handle them. Look at anyone you admire, someone who's disciplined, consistent, and successful in their life. You'll find that they don't avoid hard things. In fact, they do them first. They wake up and get straight to work. They handle uncomfortable tasks before they grow into problems. They don't allow fear or laziness to control their action. They've trained themselves to act, especially when it's not easy. You can do the same. Start small. Pick one thing you've been avoiding and face it today. Don't wait until you're confident. Take the action and the confidence will follow. The more you train this muscle, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the things that once scared you become routine. They become part of who you are. And that's the goal, to turn hard actions into daily habits. Avoiding what needs to be done leads to frustration. It leads to regret. It leads to a life full of someday. But facing what you avoid, that builds momentum. It builds clarity. It builds pride. It gives you that internal power that comes from doing what most people won't. And that's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to conquer everything at once. You just need to start. Pick one area where you know you've been avoiding action. Call it out. Be real about it. No more excuses. No more covering it up with busyness or distractions. Just face it. And when it feels hard, remind yourself, this is exactly where discipline is built. Discipline isn't built when you feel motivated. It's built when you don't. When it's cold, when it's early, when you're tired, when nobody would blame you for quitting, and you do it anyway. That's when you grow. That's when something inside you changes, and once it changes, you can't go back. You start seeing everything differently. The same task that used to feel like a mountain now feels like a warm-up, because your mind is trained, your will is stronger, your standard is higher. You have to stop waiting for the right feeling, the right time, the perfect plan. The breakthrough starts when you face the things you've been dodging. It's when you lean into the resistance instead of running from it. And the more you do this, the more you realize discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about becoming someone who does what needs to be done without negotiation. Every single day, there's a moment when you'll feel like skipping something important. That's your test. That's the moment where winners are made. Not when everything is going right, not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you show up anyway. When you say, I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it because it matters. You don't become disciplined by accident. You become disciplined by choosing to face what others avoid. And each time you do, you gain something powerful. You gain proof that you can trust yourself. You prove that your words mean something, that your goals are not just talk, they're real, and you're willing to fight for them. Stop giving power to the things you avoid. Stop letting them control your energy and your mind. The more you avoid, the more your life shrinks. The more you face, the more your life expands. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about choosing one thing today and doing it with full focus and zero excuses. Because the more you train yourself to act instead of avoid, the easier everything else becomes. You stop overthinking. You stop doubting. You just start moving. And movement is what creates progress. Movement is what builds results. Not planning, not talking, not waiting, action. And all the freedom you want, all the success, confidence, respect, peace, it starts there. It starts the moment you do the thing you've been avoiding, over and over again, until it becomes normal, until it becomes natural, until it becomes you. That's discipline. That's how you win.
Chapter 3. Set real deadlines and actually meet them every time. If you want to change your life, you must stop treating time like it doesn't matter. You must stop living as if you have forever, because you don't. You have right now, and you have a limited number of days ahead. The people who build strong results in life don't just make plans. They set real deadlines. Not imaginary ones. Not soft goals they hope to reach someday. They draw a line in the sand, and they follow through. That's what separates those who make progress from those who stay stuck. The discipline to meet deadlines changes everything. Most people say they want something, but they give themselves no real structure to get it. They set goals, but there's no pressure behind them, no urgency, no accountability. It's just talk. And because they haven't committed to a clear deadline, there's no real reason to act now. They delay. They overthink. They waste days, and before they know it, a week is gone. Then a month. Then a year. This is how people end up stuck in the same place for years, wanting change but never doing what's required to create it. A deadline makes it real. It brings seriousness to your decision. It forces you to act. But not just any deadline will work. It has to be real. It has to mean something to you. You have to treat it like there is no backup plan. Because if you treat your deadline like a suggestion, your brain won't take it seriously. It will keep pushing things back. That's how procrastination works. It gives you permission to wait, and waiting kills momentum. When you set a real deadline, your mind gets sharper. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You start breaking your goal into steps. You make faster decisions. You use your energy better. Because now you have something solid in front of you. Not a wish, not a dream, a date, a target, something your mind can chase. The people who hit their goals are not perfect. They just don't play around with time. They don't make a promise and then walk away from it. They don't say maybe next week or when I feel like it. They set a date, and when that date comes, they deliver. That kind of self-respect creates confidence. When you keep your own deadlines, your self-worth grows, because deep down you know you're someone who follows through, and that feeling can't be bought. It has to be earned. To develop this kind of discipline, start with something specific. Pick one goal. Don't make it too big or too far out. Make it close enough that you feel the pressure, but not so close that it feels impossible. Then put a deadline on it. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Make it visible. Put it on your wall. Put it in your phone. Tell someone. You need to create weight around it. You need to feel that it matters. Next, break it into daily actions. Don't try to do everything in one shot. Real progress comes from daily execution. What can you do today that brings you one step closer? What can you finish by tonight? The more focused you become on the day, the better you manage the deadline. Deadlines don't just demand action. They demand focus. And focus is something you build by cutting out everything that isn't helping. Discipline means you don't just work when it's easy. You work when it's time. Even if you're tired. Even if you're busy. Even if nobody's pushing you. You don't negotiate with your deadline. You respect it. Because if you don't respect your own word, nothing you say will ever matter. That's why so many people lose trust in themselves. They've broken their own word too many times. They've promised to do things and then let it slide. And now when they set a goal, deep down they know they probably won't follow through. That cycle has to end. You break it by proving to yourself that you can meet deadlines. Not once, not twice, but consistently, every single time. Even when it's small, even when it's inconvenient. When you say you'll finish by Friday, you finish by Friday. When you say you'll do something today, you do it today. That's how you rebuild belief in yourself. Not through motivation, through action, through discipline, through showing up when it counts. Sometimes people avoid setting real deadlines because they're afraid of failing. They think, what if I set this and I miss it? But here's the truth. Missing a deadline you took seriously still moves you further than never setting one at all. It's better to aim at something and fall short than to wander through life with no target. And the more you practice, the better you get. Discipline is a skill. Meeting deadlines is a skill. And like any skill, it grows through repetition. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. Set the deadline now. Because if you don't have a deadline, you don't have commitment. You just have a wish. And wishes don't change your life. Clear, focused, disciplined action does. One of the greatest benefits of meeting your deadlines is the trust you build with yourself. When you know you can rely on your own word, you move through life differently. You stop doubting. You stop second-guessing. You start showing up like someone who means what they say. That kind of energy creates opportunities. People notice it. They trust you more. But most importantly, you start trusting you. And that changes everything. A real deadline is not just about time. It's about intention. It's about drawing a line between who you were and who you're becoming. And every time you meet that deadline, you prove to yourself that you're serious about your goals. If you're serious about building discipline, then treat your time like it matters. Stop being casual with it. Stop allowing yourself to drift. Set a deadline for something meaningful. Then build a plan. Then stick to it. Don't just try. Commit. Commit like your future depends on it. Because it does. When the day comes and the deadline hits, don't run. Show up. Deliver. Even if it's not perfect. Even if it's messy. Even if you had a bad week. Keep your word. Do what you said you would do. That's how you become someone others can count on. That's how you become someone you can count on. If you fail, reset. Don't abandon it. Don't blame yourself. Don't get emotional. Just learn. Adjust. Set a new deadline. And meet it. Every time you close that loop, you reinforce strength. Every time you deliver on time, you get closer to the kind of life you want. Your goals are waiting. They're not waiting for better timing. They're not waiting for a perfect version of you. They're waiting for discipline. They're waiting for you to set a deadline and actually meet it. That's how results are made. That's how confidence is built. That's how your life starts to rise. Don't carry your goals into next month. Don't keep pushing them back. Decide. Set the date. Get to work. Show up on time. Finish strong. And do it again. Because when you stop moving your deadlines, your life stops moving in circles. And that's when everything starts to change.
Chapter 4. Follow your plan when no one reminds you. Most people make a plan, feel good about it for a while, and then stop following it when no one checks on them. That's the difference between those who grow and those who stay where they are. It's not about how excited you are when you write your plan. It's about what you do when no one is looking. Discipline is doing what needs to be done without being told. When you start depending on reminders, on pressure from others, on outside accountability just to stay consistent, you lose control over your own progress. The truth is, nobody is coming to remind you. Nobody is going to chase you to follow your own dreams. The world won't stop because you didn't follow through. The only one who pays the price is you. You've got a plan. That's good. But having a plan means nothing if you don't follow it. And following it only when others are watching or asking is not discipline. It's performance. Discipline is private. It's silent. It's what you do when there's no reward today. It's what you do when there's no praise, no applause, no one clapping for you. That's where strength is built. That's where character is shaped. Every time you follow through on your plan without needing a push, you prove to yourself that your word means something. And that matters more than anything. Most people drift because they rely too much on outside motivation. They listen to something inspiring in the morning. They feel pumped, but by the afternoon they've fallen off. Why? Because they never built the habit of self-leadership. You have to lead yourself. Every day. Especially when it's boring. Especially when it feels like it doesn't matter. Because those moments shape your future more than the big ones. When no one is checking in on you, your results become your only proof. Are you following the plan you made? Are you showing up when there's nothing forcing you to show up? That's where the gap begins.
Most people don't need another plan. They need more personal follow-through. They need to stop pretending they forgot. They need to stop acting like they didn't have time. They had time. They just chose to do something else. Following your plan when no one reminds you starts with making the plan real. Don't keep it in your head. Don't let it be something vague. Write it down. See it every day. Keep it in front of you. Make it simple and clear. Then track it. If you don't track it, you'll lose focus. You'll tell yourself you're doing okay, even when you're slipping. Tracking your progress forces honesty. It forces you to see whether you're doing what you said you'd do. The reason most people fall off isn't because the goal is too big. It's because they stop holding themselves accountable. They let a day slip, then 2, then 5. And once they lose the rhythm, they lose the mindset. Your plan won't work unless you show up daily. That's the truth. You can't just show up when you feel like it. You can't let your emotions decide if today is a work day or a rest day. The plan is the plan. It's not up for negotiation. If you want to get serious, you have to treat your plan like a job. You don't skip work just because you're not in the mood. You don't tell your boss you'll do it tomorrow. You show up. You do what needs to be done. Apply that same standard to your goals. Don't let your mind talk you out of it. Don't let your mood ruin your discipline. Your emotions are temporary. Your actions are permanent. When you choose discipline over feeling, you win long term. The best part about following your plan without reminders is that it builds quiet power. You start to feel stronger inside. You don't need praise. You don't need someone checking in. You don't need to prove anything to anyone else. You know you're on the path. You know you're making progress. That inner power starts to grow. And when challenges come, you don't fall apart. You don't start from zero. You already have the system in place. If you're struggling to follow through, go back to your reason. Ask yourself, why did I make this plan in the first place? Remind yourself that this isn't just about today's task. It's about building a future you can be proud of. It's about becoming someone with control over their own life. It's about breaking away from the version of you that always needed to be pushed, nagged, or rescued. That version kept you stuck. The new version leads without noise. You've got to treat your goals like they are non-negotiable. You've got to follow your plan, even when you're tired, bored, discouraged, or stressed. If you can only act when things feel good, you'll never grow. Life doesn't reward the comfortable. It rewards the committed. And commitment means doing what you said long after the excitement is gone. No one can build this discipline for you. Not a coach. Not a friend. Not a parent. Not a video. It has to come from you. It has to become part of who you are. Discipline is not something you do once in a while. It's how you live. It's your new identity. It's the standard you hold yourself to, even when no one is around to notice. If you want results, you need routine. And that routine has to be yours. Not borrowed. Not copied. Not temporary. Yours. You built it. You know why it matters. You follow it because you said you would. That's how trust is built. That's how you move from hoping to knowing. And when you know you can count on yourself, everything changes. This isn't about perfection. You'll make mistakes. You'll miss days. But discipline means you get back on track immediately. You don't let one bad day become a bad week. You don't lose focus over one slip. You correct it. You learn. You move forward. The plan keeps moving because you keep moving. That's how winners are built. Not through magic. Not through luck. Through consistent, invisible, unshakable discipline. You have a choice every day. Follow your plan or let it slip. Keep your word or let it fade. Take action or make excuses. No one will force you. No one will beg you. No one will push you forever. You either build the muscle of self-respect or you live with regret. Follow your plan when no one is there to push you. That's the moment that defines your future. That's where your power is born. Not in noise, not in crowds. In quiet, daily, committed action. That's discipline. That's how goals become real. That's how you become unstoppable. Chapter 5. Break the habit of doing what feels easy. If you always choose what feels easy, your life gets harder. And if you start choosing what feels hard, your life gets better. That's the reality most people never want to face. They want improvement, but they keep doing what's comfortable. They want to grow, but they keep avoiding discomfort. And every time they go back to what feels easy, they give up another piece of their potential. This is where most goals die. Not because the person wasn't smart or capable, but because they were too used to choosing ease over effort. Easy becomes a habit. You wake up and reach for your phone. You delay the workout. You skip the writing. You avoid the call. You stay silent when you should speak up. You tell yourself you'll do it later, and that pattern repeats. The more you do what's easy, the less you expect from yourself. The less effort you put in, the weaker your self-image becomes. And before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of low energy, low action, and low results. Breaking that habit doesn't come from reading a book or hearing a motivational talk. It comes from making a decision in real time. It comes when you say, I know this is hard, and I'm going to do it anyway. You take the stairs instead of the elevator. You speak the truth instead of staying silent. You do the extra set when your body wants to stop. You say no to distractions when it's easier to give in. Every one of those moments rewires your mind. Every time you go against the easy impulse, you build a stronger version of yourself. You weren't made for a life of comfort and avoidance. You were made to grow, and growth never happens inside the comfort zone. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it steals your progress. It gives you a sense of relief today, while silently taking your future away. That's the trap. It feels like rest, but it's really delay. It feels like a break, but it's really a habit forming, and habits become who you are. If you keep doing what's easy, you'll always stay in the same place. Nothing changes until your choices change, and your choices won't change until your standards change. You have to hold yourself to a new standard that says, I don't pick the easy way anymore. Not just once. Not just when you're feeling inspired. Every day, you decide again and again that easy is not the goal. Growth is. Think about how many times you've stayed quiet instead of speaking your truth, because it felt easier. How many times you've avoided a challenge because it felt too uncomfortable. How many times you've quit halfway through a task, because continuing required more effort. Those small moments shape everything. They tell your mind who's in charge. Your feelings or your standards. Most people follow their feelings. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel lazy, they delay. If they feel unsure, they wait. But you can't build discipline on feelings. Feelings change. Standards don't. And if your standard is to grow, you'll learn to act even when it feels hard. Especially when it feels hard. One of the strongest things you can do is look at the things you keep choosing, because they're easy, and call yourself out. Be real about it. No blaming. No justifying. Just honesty. Ask yourself, what do I keep doing that gives me comfort but no progress? Maybe it's overthinking. Maybe it's scrolling. Maybe it's saying yes to everything to avoid conflict. Once you find it, don't explain it. Replace it. Replace it with action that creates results, not relief. The strongest people aren't the ones who avoid struggle. They're the ones who have trained themselves to move through struggle without backing down. They've learned that pain is part of progress. They've learned that fear is part of growth. They've learned that being uncomfortable isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign they're in the right place. You need to train your mind to stop asking, "What's easiest right now?" and start asking, "What will make me stronger right now?" That one shift changes how you live. That one question leads to better choices, better habits, and a better life. You stop choosing food that comforts and start choosing food that fuels. You stop avoiding the hard conversations and start having them. You stop skipping the gym and start showing up, not because it's easy, but because you're not controlled by ease anymore. Every time you choose the harder path, you earn something. You earn pride. You earn clarity. You earn trust in yourself. And most of all, you earn progress. You feel the difference. Your energy changes. Your mindset sharpens. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only works when it's convenient. You become someone who works when it counts. That kind of identity can't be bought or faked. It's earned through consistent, uncomfortable action. This isn't about grinding all day or living with stress. It's about refusing to let ease run your life. It's about being intentional with your time, your choices, and your direction. It's about asking yourself, does this make me better or just make me feel better? Most of what's easy only makes you feel better temporarily. But what's difficult often makes you stronger permanently. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just start noticing when you're leaning toward ease. Start noticing the small moments. The moment you want to delay something. The moment you want to avoid effort. Catch that thought. Interrupt it. Then act anyway. It can be small. One workout. One difficult task. One honest conversation. One clean choice. Stack those wins. Let them build momentum. You weren't put here to drift. You weren't made to live on autopilot. You have goals. You have potential. You have a future that only discipline can unlock. But you'll never reach it by doing what's easy. You'll reach it by doing what works. And what works is consistent action, repeated effort, clear decisions, high standards, and the refusal to settle for comfort when you know you're capable of more. There is a different version of you on the other side of hard choices. A version that is focused, strong, respected, and grounded. That version isn't waiting for a perfect time. That version is built by breaking the habit of choosing easy. That version is made through discipline. And it starts now. Right now is your opportunity to start living with more power. Power over your habits. Power over your routine. Power over your emotions. And it begins with one simple truth. Easy is not your friend. It looks like freedom, but it's a trap. The real freedom is in discipline. The real strength is in doing what others avoid. And the real life you want begins when you stop letting comfort choose your future. So from this moment forward, when you feel the pull toward what's simple, soft, or relaxing, ask yourself one thing. Does this move me forward? If not, don't touch it. Train yourself to walk away from ease. Train yourself to reach for challenge. And do it every single day. Because the future belongs to the ones who are willing to do what others refuse. Not because it's easy, but because they've decided that easy is not enough. Chapter 6. Choose effort on days you feel nothing inside. Some days you wake up and there's nothing there. No excitement, no drive, no emotion. You don't feel inspired. You don't feel strong, and you don't feel like doing anything. It's like everything is muted. Your mind is quiet, your heart feels flat, and your energy is low. That's real. And everybody has those days. But what separates people who move forward from those who stay stuck is what they choose to do on those exact days. The days when there's nothing pushing them. No fire, no energy, just silence. That's when the most important decision is made. You either let the emptiness win, or you choose effort anyway. Most people wait until they feel something. They wait until motivation shows up, or until something around them sparks them back to life. But that kind of living keeps you stuck. If you only move when you feel something, your progress will always be unpredictable. You'll always be ruled by your mood, by outside conditions, by whatever happens around you. But if you train yourself to choose effort when there's nothing inside, no excitement, no spark, no energy, then you build something most people never have: consistency. Effort without emotion is where discipline is born, because it's easy to act when you're excited. It's easy to show up when everything is going right. But when nothing feels right, and you still move forward, that's power. That's when your actions start to shape your identity. You stop being someone who depends on good days and start becoming someone who shows up no matter what. It doesn't have to be a big step. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be something. You don't need to conquer the whole day. You just need to win the next 10 minutes. You get up. You wash your face. You make your bed. You go for a walk. You answer the message. You write one page. You finish one task. That small decision to act when you feel nothing gives you momentum, and momentum builds more action. Nobody is immune to numb days. Life throws things at you. Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes your mind is overloaded. Sometimes things hit you that you can't even explain. But what matters is how you respond. You can lie there and let the day slip by, or you can do something, anything that moves you 1 inch forward. Not because you feel like it, not because someone told you to, but because you've decided that who you're becoming matters more than how you feel in this moment. That choice to move in the middle of stillness is what changes everything. Because you realize you're not your feelings. You're not your mood. You're not even your thoughts. You are what you do. And when you start acting from commitment instead of emotion, you start building a version of yourself that doesn't need to be pushed anymore. You become your own push. There's a quiet power that grows inside people who do what needs to be done without needing to be in the mood for it. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. But it's strong. It's stable. It shows up every day. And over time, that quiet power beats the person who waits to feel good before doing something important. If you really want to build something with your life, this is the muscle you must train. The ability to choose effort when it's the last thing you want to give. You wake up feeling flat. You move anyway. You feel distant. You show up anyway. You feel like nothing matters. You focus anyway. That doesn't mean you ignore your emotions. That doesn't mean you lie to yourself. It means you honor your emotions, but you don't let them decide the outcome of your day. Every single day you act in spite of the numbness. You prove to yourself that you're stronger than your weakest moments. You stop being a victim of your own mind and start being the leader of your life. The feelings might not change right away. That's okay. But you change. You feel different about yourself because you showed up. And showing up matters more than any perfect plan or temporary high. The world doesn't see the days you drag yourself forward in silence. The world doesn't notice the times you make effort with no reward. But you feel it. Deep inside. You know. And that internal record keeps track. That's where real confidence is built. Not in results, in actions, in keeping your word when it would be easy to do nothing, in staying in motion when your heart feels still. It's easy to believe in yourself when things go well, but if you can believe in yourself when you feel nothing and still act, you've reached a higher level of self-respect. Because you've proven to yourself that your values matter more than your temporary feelings. That's not motivation. That's maturity. That's what turns discipline into a lifestyle. Some days the only thing you'll have is the choice to keep moving forward. And that's enough. Don't wait for the emotions to return. Don't wait for the spark to come back. Action brings the spark. Effort brings the emotion back. You don't sit in the dark waiting for the light. You start walking and trust the light will come back along the way. It doesn't have to feel meaningful in the moment. The meaning comes after. Sometimes you'll finish a task still feeling heavy. That's okay. What matters is that you kept your promise to yourself, and that promise builds something stronger than any feeling ever could. People who win long-term are not constantly fired up. They're not always inspired. They're not chasing emotion. They've just decided that quitting on themselves is no longer an option. They've learned that choosing effort, even when their heart feels empty, is what puts them ahead of 99% of people who only move when the energy is perfect. And when you start stacking days like that, days where you felt nothing but still acted, you become someone different. You walk differently. You speak differently. You start expecting more from yourself, not because someone told you to, but because you've proven to yourself that you're capable of more. One decision, that's all it takes. One honest decision to move instead of wait. One simple action instead of sitting in silence. One choice to rise even when you feel disconnected. You're not alone in those moments. We all have them, but only a few choose to move anyway. Be one of those few, because that's the person who doesn't get controlled by waves of emotion. That's the person who can be trusted. That's the person who shows up when it counts. And that's the person who ends up achieving what others only talk about. Not because they had more energy, but because they had more commitment. So when you feel nothing, when your heart is quiet and your mind is tired, just move. One step, one action, one push, and do it again tomorrow. That's how you break through. That's how you lead yourself out of the fog. That's how you earn the life you said you wanted. Not through inspiration, through effort. Especially when it's hard, especially when it's quiet, especially when it feels like nothing, because that's when it matters most.
Chapter 7. Keep your word even when motivation is gone. The moment you make a promise to yourself, something powerful happens. You begin building trust with the one person who matters most, yourself. But keeping that promise isn't tested when you're motivated. It's tested when motivation disappears, when it's early and you're tired, when the day feels long before it even begins, when the work looks boring, when no one is watching. That's when your word is either broken or honored. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when you're inspired, but when you feel nothing and still choose to follow through. Motivation comes and goes. It can't be the reason you act. If it is, you'll be chasing it your whole life. You'll only move when you feel like it. And that's why most people stop. They think they've lost their passion or their purpose, when really, they just never built the habit of honoring their word. A life built on motivation will always be unstable, but a life built on discipline, on keeping your word no matter how you feel, that's unshakable. You have to decide that your word matters, that when you say something, it means something, not just to others,
but to you. When you say you'll work out, you work out. When you say you'll wake up early, you wake up early. When you say you'll finish the project, you finish the project. Not when it's fun, not when it's convenient. When it's time, that decision changes your life, because the gap between your words and your actions is where confidence is either built or destroyed. Every time you keep your word, especially when you don't feel like it, you become stronger. You trust yourself more. You stop needing outside pressure. You stop needing a perfect environment. You just act, because action is what you do now. It's not emotional, it's who you are. That level of consistency is rare, and it's what separates winners from everyone else. Most people break their word in small ways. They say they'll start Monday, and they don't. They say they'll call back, and they don't. They say they'll cut back on distractions, but they don't. Those moments seem small, but they add up. They build a pattern, and over time that pattern becomes your identity. You become someone who says things they don't mean, not on purpose, but through habits that were never corrected. That kind of living eats away at your belief. It makes you doubt yourself even before you begin. But the opposite is also true. When you start keeping your word, even in the smallest areas, you rebuild trust. You tell yourself, I'm someone who finishes what I start. And that belief spreads into every part of your life. It shows in your work. It shows in your attitude. It shows in how you carry yourself. Because discipline leaves a mark. It changes your posture, your tone, your energy. You stop needing to explain yourself, because your actions already speak loud enough. Nobody keeps their word perfectly, but discipline means you're honest when you fall short, and you get back on track fast. You don't hide from it. You don't pretend. You say, that wasn't good enough, and you fix it. You don't wait for the next wave of motivation. You rebuild momentum with movement. That's how real growth works. Not through guilt, through correction, through responsibility, through action. People around you may not notice the little promises you keep, but you will. You'll know. You'll feel it when you sit down to work and you're focused. You'll feel it when you walk into a room and you're grounded. You'll feel it when pressure shows up and you don't fold. That's the reward for keeping your word. You become someone you can rely on. Think about the way you talk to yourself. When you say, I'm going to do this, do you believe it? Or has your mind heard so many broken promises that it just shrugs? That's the cost of not following through. You lose the weight of your own words, but that can be changed. You don't need a big transformation. You just need to start doing exactly what you say again and again until your mind starts to believe you again. There will always be days when you don't feel like doing anything. Days where your energy is low, your motivation is gone, and your goals feel distant. Those are the most important days, not because you'll make the biggest moves, but because you'll prove to yourself that you're not driven by feelings. You're driven by values. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs wait for the mood. Professionals show up regardless. Your word has to be stronger than your mood. Your word has to be more powerful than your excuses. Your word has to be the one thing that doesn't bend under pressure. Because when your word is solid, your results become inevitable. It might not happen fast. It might not be easy, but it happens because you keep showing up. You keep doing the work. You keep moving forward when others stop. Some people want a secret formula. Some want shortcuts. Some want everything to feel right before they act. But the ones who win already know the truth. Keep your word every day. in every area. Do what you said you would do, even when it's cold, even when it's late, even when you're tired, even when the world feels heavy. Especially then. That's when your word matters most. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop giving up on yourself. You need to stop talking yourself out of the things you said were important. You need to remember why you made the promise in the first place. Maybe it was to change your health. Maybe it was to build something with your name on it. Maybe it was to stop living average and start living intentionally. That reason still matters. Even if the feeling is gone, the reason is still there. Start with one promise. Keep it. Make it small. Do it today. Then do it again tomorrow. Don't make it dramatic. Make it real. When it gets boring, keep going. When it gets hard, keep going. When it feels like nobody cares, keep going. Because the one person who should care the most is you. Your future self is watching. The stronger version of you is waiting. But it won't show up if you keep quitting. It won't come alive if you keep breaking your word every time motivation fades. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be impressive. You just need to be consistent. Over time, consistency becomes confidence, and confidence becomes power. Every day is a chance to prove something to yourself, not to anyone else, not to the world, to you. Prove that you mean what you say. Prove that your promises are not just talk. Prove that your goals are not just wishes. And do it in silence. Do it without applause. Do it because you said you would. That's how you become unstoppable. That's how you rise. That's how your life changes. One kept promise at a time. Chapter 8. Decide what matters and shut out everything else. Most people don't lack potential. They just spend too much time on things that don't matter. Their energy gets scattered. Their focus gets stolen. Their time slips through their fingers. Not because they aren't capable, but because they haven't decided what truly matters to them. And if you don't make that decision for yourself, the world will make it for you. People will pull you in different directions. Distractions will keep popping up. Noise will surround you. And before you know it, your days are filled with activity that leads nowhere. You're busy, but not effective. You're moving, but not forward. And deep down you feel it. You know you're not locked in. You know you're not doing the things that actually build your life. The turning point is when you stop playing that game. When you sit down, look at your life, and decide what really matters to me. What do I actually want to build? What's worth my full focus, my full discipline, my full effort? Not what looks good to other people. Not what makes you feel comfortable in the short term. What truly matters to you? That question is uncomfortable because it forces you to cut things out. It forces you to be honest about what's just filling space. And most people don't want to do that. They'd rather stay busy and avoid the truth. But nothing great is built with scattered focus. Nothing strong comes from trying to do everything. Progress requires subtraction. You have to eliminate things that pull your attention away from your goals. You have to stop giving time to things that keep you average. You have to stop trying to please everyone. You weren't made to do a little bit of everything. You were made to go all in on what matters. And once you know what that is, you have to shut out everything else. Not because it's bad, not because you hate it, but because it doesn't serve your direction. This is where discipline becomes real. Discipline isn't just about waking up early or sticking to routines. It's about clarity. It's about saying no over and over to things that don't align with your mission. That takes courage. It means walking away from distractions that feel good. It means being okay with missing out on things that don't build your future. It means doing less, but doing it with full force. You need to look at your calendar, your habits, your environment, and ask, does this match what matters to me? Or is this just noise? Because the truth is, most people know exactly what they need to be doing, but they keep getting pulled away. They let small things steal hours. They let shallow conversations drain energy. They let comparison rob their joy. And it's all because they never took the time to define what matters and shut the door on everything else. You can't keep saying yes to everything and expect your goals to take shape. You can't keep giving attention to things that don't return value. You've got to filter your life like your future depends on it, because it does. What you choose to focus on daily becomes the story of your life. If your focus is scattered, your results will be weak. If your focus is locked, your progress becomes unstoppable. That's why deciding what matters isn't just a good idea. It's your foundation. It brings direction. It brings strength. It simplifies your choices. When you know what matters, you don't waste time debating every little decision. You don't get stuck in confusion. You move with purpose. That kind of clarity is rare, and it's powerful. It puts you in a category most people never reach, not because they couldn't, but because they never got focused. And once you decide what matters, you have to defend it. You'll be tested. People will try to pull your attention. Temptations will try to sneak in. Comfort will try to slow you down. That's when you have to remind yourself, this is my life, and I'm not giving it away. You don't owe your time to everyone. You don't have to explain your focus. You just have to protect it. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being responsible. You've got one life, one shot to build something meaningful, one chance to become the person you know you can be. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens through clear focus and consistent effort. It happens when you stop chasing approval and start chasing your purpose. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters and do it better. Cut the distractions. Simplify your days. Create routines that support your priorities. Surround yourself with people who respect your focus. Limit your exposure to noise, digital, emotional, or mental. Say no to things that look good, but don't build the life you want. The more you simplify, the more powerful you become. It's not easy. Shutting things out means dealing with discomfort. You'll feel the pull of old habits. You'll feel pressure to fit in. You'll question whether you're missing something. But with time, you'll realize you're not missing anything. You're gaining control. You're not scattered. You're not distracted. You're focused. And focus is what turns average into excellent. You don't need motivation for this. You need honesty. Honest reflection. Honest evaluation. Honest decisions. You need to sit with yourself and ask the hard questions. What do I keep saying is important, but never make time for? What do I keep doing out of habit, even though it adds nothing to my growth? Who am I around that drains me instead of building me? Those answers are your starting point. From there you act. You make changes. You create space. And you focus only on what matters. This level of discipline is rare because it demands sacrifice. It means giving up temporary pleasures for long-term gain. It means being okay with being misunderstood. It means walking a different path. But that path leads to freedom. Not the kind of freedom where you do anything at any time. The kind where you live with intention. The kind where you wake up knowing exactly why you're doing what you're doing. That's the kind of life worth building. So you decide what matters. You write it down. You get clear on it. Then you build your life around it. Not the other way around. And if something doesn't align with that vision, you walk away from it. No guilt, no regret, just focus. That's how discipline works. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters most, and doing it like your future depends on it, because it does. Chapter 9. Act like the results you want already depend on you. The moment you stop blaming your circumstances is the moment your life starts moving. The second you take full responsibility for where you are and where you're going, things begin to shift. That shift is not always loud or dramatic. It happens quietly inside your thinking. It's when you decide that the results you want are not waiting for better timing or more support or perfect conditions. They're waiting for you to act like it all depends on you. That mindset changes how you move through your day. It changes how you deal with challenges, how you handle time, and how you respond to failure. Because when you believe it's on you, you stop waiting. You stop hoping. You start doing. People waste so much energy blaming what's outside of them. The economy, their background, the people around them, the lack of support, the lack of time, the way they feel. All of it might be true, but none of it changes the fact that nothing moves until you do, and nobody is coming to do it for you. It's your responsibility now. Not just the good parts, the hard parts too. That's where growth begins. Not when things go your way, but when you own everything in front of you without excuses. That ownership is what most people avoid, because if you believe the results depend on you, then there's nowhere to hide. That can feel heavy, but it's also where all your power comes from. Because if it depends on you, that means you can change it, you can improve, you can adapt, you can find solutions. You're not stuck, you're just untrained. And you can fix that by taking full control of what you do daily. Your goals don't care about how hard it's been. They don't care about what you didn't get. They only respond to what you do. That's why blaming slows you down. It gives your power away. It makes you feel like your future is out of your hands. And if you believe that long enough, you stop trying. You settle. You make peace with average. But average doesn't bring fulfillment. It brings regret. You were never meant to live a passive life. You were meant to build, to lead, to push limits. But that requires you to show up like every result you want is waiting for you to step up. Not just once, but every day. It's a mindset. It's a standard. You walk into the room differently. You speak with more clarity. You manage your time like it matters. You focus on what produces results, not what feels easy. Because now you're not trying. You're taking ownership. This mindset is not about being perfect. It's about being fully responsible. Even when things go wrong, even when you fail, you don't point fingers. You look at what you could have done better. You learn from it. You grow from it. That kind of thinking builds mental toughness, because now you're not just reacting, you're choosing. You're in control of how you respond, how you show up, and how hard you push. The truth is, every excuse you make might feel justified, but none of them move you forward. They just keep you in the same cycle. If you want to break that cycle, stop asking who's to blame and start asking what you can do. That's the shift. That's the move. That's what puts you in control. Most people don't act like the results depend on them because they're afraid of what it means. It means pressure. It means responsibility. It means being fully accountable for what happens next. But it also means freedom, because if it's on you, then you don't have to wait. You don't need permission. You can take the next step right now. When you live like it's on you, you stop wasting time. You stop doing things that have no payoff. You stop trying to impress people who don't matter. You become more direct. you get more focused. Because you're playing for something bigger. And that shows in how you work, how you think, and how you live. Your life changes the day you say, "It's up to me." That's the day you stop being passive. That's the day you stop looking for shortcuts. That's the day you start showing up with intent. You wake up earlier. You think deeper. You prepare better. You execute faster. Not because someone is pushing you, but because you've made a decision. A real decision that says, "I will become the person who gets the results I want, no matter what it takes." That kind of mindset builds consistency, and consistency builds confidence. The more you do, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you do. It's a cycle, but this time it works for you. That's how momentum is created. One small action done with full responsibility creates a ripple. You start stacking wins. You stop needing motivation. You stop needing reminders. You act because it's who you are now. You don't wait for permission anymore. You don't wait for someone to believe in you. You don't wait for the perfect plan. You move. You adapt. You stay sharp. And when things go wrong, you don't complain. You reset. You refocus. You take the lesson and keep going, because the goal hasn't changed. And it still depends on you. Some people will never get this. They'll keep blaming, avoiding, hoping. But not you. You've seen enough of what that mindset leads to. You've felt what it's like to be stuck. You've felt the weight of wasted time. And you're done with it. Now you're taking the weight back, not as a burden, but as power. The power to change. The power to build. The power to lead your life. Not follow it. This isn't about pressure. It's about pride. The pride that comes from knowing that when you said it was on you, you meant it. That you didn't need constant support or endless motivation. You needed a clear decision and daily discipline. That's what builds real success. Quiet, committed, focused effort, over and over again. So today, stop waiting. Stop explaining. Stop hoping someone else will fix it. Take the next step like the result already belongs to you, because it does. If you're willing to claim it. Work like the outcome depends on your effort. Think like the solution depends on your creativity. Move like the next level is waiting for your discipline. Speak like your words matter. Live like your habits shape your reality, because they do. And when it gets hard, and it will, you remind yourself. This is part of it. Pressure, discomfort, setbacks. They're all part of the path. But you keep moving, because you know who's in control. You are. And that truth, once you accept it, becomes your greatest strength. You don't need more time. You don't need better luck. You don't need the perfect moment. You need to decide that your results are your job. And when you make that decision, everything changes. Not overnight, but over time. Quietly, steadily, permanently. It's on you now. And that's not a burden. That's a gift. Treat it like one. Chapter 10. Do what builds your future, not what feels nice. Every day you're making a choice. You either do what feels good in the moment, or you do what actually moves your life forward. That choice might not seem like a big deal at first, but over time, it's everything. The people who build strong lives are not the ones who chase comfort. They're the ones who learn how to delay it. They're the ones who stop choosing what feels nice and start choosing what builds something. They know that the things that shape their future rarely feel good in the moment. They feel demanding. They feel tiring. They feel uncomfortable, but they do them anyway. What feels nice is easy to find. It's all around you. It's the food that tastes good but slows you down. It's the entertainment that passes time but adds nothing. It's the scrolling, the talking, the waiting. What feels nice is designed to take your attention. It rewards you with short-term pleasure and long-term disappointment. You feel relaxed now, but frustrated later. You feel distracted now, but lost later. And that pattern repeats until one day you look back and realize you've spent more time feeding comfort than feeding your goals. The actions that build your future look different. They don't come with instant reward. They come with resistance. Waking up early to train. Saying no when everyone says yes. Working late when no one's watching. Turning down distractions so you can stay focused. These choices aren't fun. They're not comfortable, but they build something inside you that nothing else can. They build grit. They build pride. They build a mindset that says, I don't need to feel good right now. I need to grow. That's how real progress works. You get serious about your future. You stop doing things because they're easy. You start doing things because they matter. You don't ask, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what needs to be done? That shift changes everything. It removes confusion. It removes hesitation. It gives you clarity, because now you're not chasing emotions, you're chasing results. Most people stay stuck because they never break this habit. They think discipline is about punishment. It's not. It's about direction. Discipline says, I know where I'm going, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. That doesn't mean you hate comfort. It means you don't let comfort run your life. You don't give up long-term progress just to feel better for the next 20 minutes. That's the mindset that builds something meaningful. You have to get honest with yourself. Look at how you spend your time. Look at your habits. Ask yourself, is this building me or just entertaining me? Because they're not the same. Something can feel good and still take you nowhere. And something can feel difficult but move you forward in ways you never expected. If you want something strong, something lasting, you have to choose the second one more often. Doing what builds your future means being okay with the fact that some days will be quiet. Some days won't come with recognition or reward. No one will clap. No one will ask how you're doing. It'll just be you, showing up, doing what needs to be done. And that's when you grow. That's when you separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people only act when it feels good. You act because you've decided to live on purpose. Comfort is not evil. It's just addictive. And like anything addictive, it has a cost. If you don't manage it, it starts managing you. It starts deciding how you spend your hours, how you think, how you react. It makes you soft. It keeps you away from challenge. It teaches you that ease is the goal, but ease doesn't build strength. It doesn't create momentum, and it doesn't leave you with a life you're proud of. You have to retrain your mind. When you feel the pull toward comfort, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer is no, walk away from it. Don't argue with it. Don't justify it. Just walk away. Choose the harder thing. Choose the thing that builds, and keep doing it, again and again, until it becomes your normal. Eventually your mind starts to change. You stop needing rewards to act. You stop needing the right mood. You just move. You just build. You start finding joy in the process. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. That's the real shift. That's when you start gaining real power. When you build your life on what feels nice. You're always chasing something. You're never satisfied. You need more to feel less. But when you build your life on growth, you're grounded. You don't need approval. You don't need constant stimulation. You know where you're going, and every step you take is toward that direction. This mindset isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about being real with yourself. You know what's holding you back. You know what's stealing your time. You know what you keep doing to avoid the hard stuff. And you also know what needs to change. The question is, are you willing to choose the thing that builds you, even when it's not the easy thing? Success doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from 1,000 small ones. Every time you say yes to discomfort, you're saying yes to your future. Every time you walk away from comfort, you're building something stronger inside you. And eventually those choices start showing up in your results. You look around and realize you're no longer stuck. You're no longer hoping. You're building. And it's because you made a choice to stop living for what feels good and start living for what gets you somewhere. There's no magic here. No perfect timing. No secret strategy. Just daily effort pointed in the right direction. Just small choices made with clarity. Just discipline repeated again and again, even when it's quiet. That's how you win. That's how you build something you can be proud of. That's how you become someone who doesn't need to talk about it, because their actions already speak loud enough. So from here forward, every time you're tempted to settle into ease, remember what it costs. It costs time. It costs growth. It costs the life you could have had. Then ask yourself, what would the stronger version of me do right now? Follow that answer. That answer builds your future. That answer makes you proud. That answer is the one worth following. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. You just need to choose the thing that adds value to your future, not just pleasure to your present. Over time, that discipline becomes your strength. That strength becomes your identity. And that identity becomes the life you always said you wanted. All because you made one powerful decision to do what builds, not what just feels nice.